I found out my mother had been stealing from me for 15 years the day I decided to surprise her with a new car. The irony still makes my stomach turn. You know that feeling when you think you're doing something incredibly generous, something that'll make someone you love cry happy tears? That's exactly what I felt driving to the Honda dealership that Tuesday morning. Mom had been complaining about her old Civic breaking down again, and I'd finally saved enough for a down payment on something reliable for her. I'm Sarah, by the way. 38, single, work in marketing for a mid-sized company in Phoenix. Nothing fancy, but I've always been good with money. Always been the responsible one in the family. Or so I thought. See, I'd been helping Mom with her finances since Dad passed away 12 years ago. She'd call me every month, sometimes crying, talking about how she couldn't make ends meet on her Social Security. The mortgage, the utilities, the medical bills. It was overwhelming for her, she said. So I started sending her money. $300 here, $500 there. Sometimes $1,000 when things got really tight. I never questioned it. Why would I? This was my mother, the woman who raised me, who sacrificed everything for our family. When she said she needed help, I helped. When she said the insurance didn't cover her medications, I covered them. When she said the roof needed repairs, I sent money for that too. 15 years of this. 15 years of me living in a tiny one-bedroom apartment, driving a car with 200,000 miles on it, never taking vacations, never buying myself anything nice, because Mom needed help. But that Tuesday I felt proud. Finally, I thought I can do something really meaningful for her. I'd been saving for 8 months, working overtime, selling stuff I didn't need. I had enough for a decent down payment, and my credit was good enough to help her get financing for the rest. The plan was simple. Buy the car, drive it to her house, surprise her. I could already picture her face, the way she'd probably start crying. Maybe hug me so tight I couldn't breathe. It would be worth every sacrifice I'd made. The dealership part went smoothly. Silver Honda CR-V 2019, low mileage. Perfect for Mom. The salesman, this cheerful guy named Dave, was helping me with the paperwork when he asked a routine question that changed everything. So this is going to be a gift for your mother? That's wonderful. We'll need her to be here to sign the financing documents, though. Can't put the loan in someone else's name without them present. I called Mom right there in the dealership. Hey Mom. I'm at Honda and I have a surprise for you. Can you meet me here? I need you to sign some papers. There was this pause. This long weird pause that should have been my first clue. Papers? What kind of papers, honey? Financing papers. I'm buying you a new car, Mom. Well, new to you. That Civic is going to leave you stranded one day, and I can't have that. Another pause. Then, oh Sarah. Honey, you don't need to do that. The Civic is fine. Fine. She'd been complaining about it for months. But I pushed forward, excited. Mom, it's already done. I put down the deposit. Just come sign the papers and we can drive your new car home. I can't today. I'm not feeling well. That's when something clicked wrong in my brain. Mom had been not feeling well. A lot lately when I wanted to visit. Always had excuses. Always too busy, too tired, too something. Mom, are you okay? What's going on? Nothing's going on. Look, can we talk about this later? I stood there in that dealership, phone pressed to my ear, surrounded by shiny cars and the smell of new leather, and for the first time in 15 years, I felt suspicious of my own mother. Mom, I'm coming over. We need to talk. No, don't come over. The house is a mess. The house is a mess. My mother, who used to vacuum twice a week and never let dishes sit in the sink overnight, was telling me her house was too messy for her own daughter to visit. I hung up. Told Dave I'd be back later. Got in my beat-up Honda with the rattling exhaust and drove straight to Mom's house. The first thing I noticed was the driveway. Instead of her old white Civic, there was a BMW, a black BMW 3 Series that looked maybe 2 years old, sitting in my mother's driveway like it belonged there. I sat in my car for a full 5 minutes, staring at that BMW, trying to make sense of it. Maybe she was watching it for a neighbor? Maybe someone was visiting? Maybe there was some logical explanation that didn't involve my mother lying to me for over a decade. I knocked on the front door. No answer. Her car was here. Well, the BMW was here. I used my key. Mom? It's Sarah. The house wasn't a mess. It was immaculate. More than immaculate. It was decorated like something out of a magazine. New furniture, new carpet, artwork on the walls that I'd never seen before. A massive flat-screen TV dominated the living room, and there were fresh flowers on the coffee table. This wasn't the house of someone struggling to pay bills. Mom! I called again, walking through rooms that felt both familiar and completely foreign. I found her in the kitchen, sitting at a breakfast bar I'd never seen before, drinking coffee from a cup that probably cost more than I spent on groceries in a week. She looked up when I walked in, and the expression on her face, it was like watching someone get caught with their hand in the cookie jar. Except the cookie jar was my entire life. Sarah, I told you not to come over. Whose BMW is in your driveway? She set down her coffee cup. Expensive-looking coffee cup. Everything in this kitchen was expensive-looking. The appliances, the countertops, the backsplash. When had she remodeled her kitchen? It's mine. 2 words. Just 2 words, but they hit me like a physical blow. Yours. I bought it last year. Last year. Last year when she called me crying because she couldn't afford her heating bill, and I'd sent her $800. Last year when she'd said the refrigerator was broken and needed replacing, and I'd sent her $1,200. Last year when she'd asked for help with Christmas presents for my kids, and I'd sent her $600. You bought a BMW. Last year? She nodded, not meeting my eyes. Mom. My voice came out smaller than I intended. How did you afford a BMW? That's when she started crying. Not the gentle, dignified tears of a woman who'd been caught in a white lie. These were the sloppy, desperate tears of someone whose entire world was collapsing. I didn't mean for it to go this far, she sobbed. It started small. You were sending me money, and I didn't always need it right away, so I'd save it. Then I started investing some of it. I got lucky with a few stocks, and suddenly I had more money than I'd ever had in my life.
Esther daher.
My brain was working in slow motion, trying to process what she was telling me. You've been investing the money I sent you? Some of it. Not all of it. I mean, at first I really did need it. After your father died, things were tight. But then I got better at managing my finances, and the Social Security was enough, and you kept taking my money anyway. She nodded, still crying. For 15 years. Another nod. I walked over to her kitchen window and looked out at her backyard. There was a hot tub that definitely hadn't been there the last time I'd visited, which was... When was the last time I'd actually been inside her house? She always wanted to meet at restaurants or come to my place. Now I knew why. How much? I asked, still looking out the window. What? How much money have I given you over the past 15 years? Sarah, I don't think. How much, Mom? She was quiet for so long I thought she wasn't going to answer. Then in a voice so small I could barely hear it. I kept track. In a notebook. It's about $63,000. $63,000. I turned around to look at her, this woman who'd raised me, who'd taught me about honesty and integrity and doing the right thing even when it was hard. This woman who'd been systematically lying to me for over a decade. I gave you $63,000 while I lived like a college student because I thought you needed help. I was going to pay you back. I was going to tell you. When the investments did well enough, I was going to surprise you. I was going to give you everything back plus interest and tell you how proud I was of you for helping me get back on my feet. But you didn't. I didn't know how. Every month that went by made it harder. And then you started talking about buying me a car and I panicked. If you found out about the BMW... I looked around her beautiful kitchen again, mentally calculating what everything must have cost. The granite countertops, the stainless steel appliances, the custom cabinets. This wasn't just my money. This was years of my sacrifice transformed into her comfort. What about the medications? The medical bills? The roof repairs? She covered her face with her hands. I did need some help with medical bills at first, but then I got supplemental insurance. The roof? I did get it repaired, but it cost half what I told you. The rest? I put it in the stock account. Stock account. My mother had a stock account funded by my money, while I was eating ramen noodles and shopping at thrift stores. Show me, I said. What? Show me the notebook. Show me the investments. Show me where my life went. She left the kitchen and came back with a small leather notebook, The kind you buy at a nice stationery store. The kind I couldn't afford to buy for myself. She handed it to me like she was handing over evidence at a trial. I opened it and saw my entire adult life reduced to numbers. Neat columns. Date, amount received. Actual need, amount invested. Her handwriting was careful, precise. She'd been meticulous about tracking her deception. March 2009. Received $800. Needed $400. Invested $400. June 2009. Received $1,200. Needed $300. Invested $900. December 2009. Received $600. Needed $0. Invested $600. The pattern was clear. Year after year, my generosity became her investment strategy. My love became her retirement plan. The account is worth about $90,000 now, she said quietly. The BMW, the house improvements, the other things I bought. But there's still about $90,000.
$92,000.
My $63,000 had grown to $90,000, while I drove a car that needed duct tape to hold the passenger seat together. I closed the notebook and set it on her expensive granite countertop. I need to go, I said. Sarah, please. Let me explain. Explain what? How you watched me struggle for 15 years and said nothing. How you listened to me talk about not being able to afford a vacation or a new couch or a decent car. And you just let me keep sending you money. I wanted to tell you so many times. But you didn't. I was surprised by how calm I sounded. Inside, I felt like I was falling down a very deep hole, but my voice was steady. You had 90,000 opportunities to tell me, and you chose not to. I walked toward her front door, through her beautiful living room with its expensive furniture bought with my sacrifices. Where are you going? I turned back to look at her. She looked smaller than I remembered, sitting there in her designer kitchen, surrounded by the evidence of her betrayal. I don't know, I said honestly. But I know I can't be here right now. Are you going to tell your brother and sister? The question stopped me cold. My brother and sister who'd always joked about how I was Mom's favorite, how I was the one who always helped her out. They had no idea. They'd been living their lives, pursuing their careers, raising their families, while I'd been bankrolling Mom's secret prosperity. I don't know, I said again. I drove back to the Honda dealership in a daze. Dave, the salesman, was still there, probably wondering what had happened to his customer who'd been so excited about surprising her mother. How'd it go? He asked cheerfully. I need to cancel the purchase, I said. His face fell. Oh no. What happened? Financing fall through. Something like that. I got my deposit back and drove home to my tiny apartment with the leaky faucet and the neighbors who played music too loud. I sat on my second-hand couch and looked around at my sparse living room, trying to remember why I'd chosen to live this way. I hadn't chosen it. I'd been tricked into it. That was 3 months ago. I still haven't decided what to do about the money. Mom calls me every few days crying, apologizing, begging me to forgive her. She's offered to give me all the money, to sell the BMW, to downsize her house. But somehow none of that feels like it would fix what's broken between us. The hardest part isn't the money though. It's the realization that the person I thought I knew best in the world was essentially a stranger. The mother who raised me to be honest and generous had been dishonest and greedy. The woman I'd sacrificed everything to help had been living better than I was the whole time. I've been seeing a therapist trying to work through what she calls complex grief. Grief for the relationship I thought I had. Grief for the 15 years I can't get back. Grief for the person I thought my mother was. But here's the thing that really keeps me up at night. I still love her. Despite everything, despite the betrayal and the lies and the money, I still love my mother. And I don't know if that makes me incredibly strong or incredibly stupid. Maybe both. If you've ever had someone you trust completely betray that trust, you know how it messes with your head. You start questioning everything. Every relationship, every kindness, every generous impulse. Because if the person who's supposed to love you most in the world can lie to you for 15 years, who can you really trust? I'm working on rebuilding my life now. I bought myself a decent used car. Nothing fancy, but it doesn't rattle when I start it. I'm saving for a real vacation, maybe somewhere with a beach. I'm learning to spend money on myself without feeling guilty about it. And I'm trying to figure out how to forgive someone who isn't really sorry for what they did, Just sorry they got caught. Some days I think I'll never speak to her again. Other days I miss her so much it physically hurts. Most days I just feel tired. The money's still sitting in her account. She hasn't touched it since that day in her kitchen. She sends me statements every month like she's proving something. But I haven't decided what I want to do about it yet. Because this isn't really about money, is it? It's about trust. It's about love. It's about how the people closest to us can sometimes be the ones who hurt us most. And it's about learning that sometimes the most generous thing you can do is stop being generous to people who take advantage of your kindness. I'm still figuring out how to do that. Have you ever had someone you trusted completely betray that trust? Share your story in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more real-life stories that remind us we're not alone in our struggles.